صباح الخير جميعا وشكرا انه
Good morning to you all, and thank you for coming on time. And I know that last night was a difficult one after the.
So welcome everybody, colleagues, ARIJian, to this session that is to some extent a very important session with the title of Future Media Innovation and Artificial Intelligence. It is rather a timely and important session. When I was asked to moderate this session, I felt daunted and scared, as I am the least tech-savvy person, not only in this room, but everywhere else. But currently, and in this modern era, if you want to be employed at all, or even to simply exist, you have to be digitally fluent and digitally able. AI has been developed and used by corporate and government to solve mega problems, and they do that with little accountability and control. Terms like algorithm, machine learning have been interfering, if not taking over, every sector and sphere of human activity. Overall, I'm told the machine until now cannot develop itself to act alone, but it can do that. It can do what we teach it. If it's obedient, I don't know, so far, is it obedient? I don't know. And one hopes those teaching the machines are keeping in mind some ethical values to prevent any harm while aiming for profit and or prevent stomping on the vulnerable and increasing rather than decreasing discrimination and harassment in society. Traditionally, reporting and covering the tech sector in the Arabic-speaking world and media has been poor and very superficial. I can speak from experience over 30 years in the Arabic-speaking media. Now, another era begs to be kept under the radars of us, reporter, journalists, investigative journalists, in the region especially. That is no less important type of reporting than investigating abuse of power, corruption, or polluting the world. With me to discuss this very important subject and to stimulate the discussion about reporting on AI are two very special people. Next to me is Ms. Boyoung Lim, senior editor at the Pulitzer Center and former reporter at Korea Center for Investigative Journalism, and also a member of ICIJ, but also previously a serving police officer who specialized in cyber crimes in Korea. Also with me is Rabia Eid, a Palestinian political and cultural journalist for more than 10 years in print and online, living in the UK and graduate in political science and media studies from Haifa University, as well as the Doha Institute, and has an MA in documentary making from Sussex University. Without delay, because there is a lot of ground to cover in this very topical subject, I will give the word to Boyoung to run us through about the importance of AI reporting, investigation, and keeping in mind accountability in this very crucial field.
Thank you so much, Shivaro. Hello, good morning, everyone. It's so good to be here. My name is Boyoung Lim. I'm a senior editor at the Pulitzer Center. And while I'm waiting for the presentation to pull up, I can talk a little bit about what I do at the Pulitzer Center. So the Pulitzer Center, two things you need to know. One, we don't give out the Pulitzer Prizes. We have nothing to do with it, but we do support journalists from all over the world. And many of them have either become finalists for the Pulitzer Center, Pulitzer Prizes, sorry, this is confusing. And I am here today representing our AI Accountability Network. Oh, there's a presentation. So, is this working? Okay, so I covered that. And these are some of the networked approaches we work on rainforest issues, but I'm going to talk about the AI Accountability Network we have. at the Pulitzer Center, specifically focusing on the AI Accountability Fellowships we have launched earlier this year. So what can go wrong with AI and why do investigative journalists need to care? There's a lot of hype around this issue all over the world. I'm sure the MENA region also has its own hype. But, we shouldn't get scared of it. We shouldn't be too critical of it. But let's face it, it can always cause unintended harm. It can amplify the existing inequalities in this world and amplify the biases that we humans have against marginalized communities. And there's no or weak regulations in most countries on AI technologies. So there is a lot of space for unintended harm or intended harm to be caused. So these are the happy faces we have. These are the 10 AI accountability fellows that we selected earlier this year. What we do with this group is we're helping more journalists to be able to cover AI with an accountability lens. And so we selected them earlier this year. These are 10 fellows reporting in 10 different countries around the world. They are focusing on issues such as AI technology in hiring, surveillance, social welfare, policing, migration, and border control. And I won't spoil the stories. They're still coming out. I can talk a little bit about the stories later. But they are using various methods to investigate algorithms, such as algorithm auditing, cross-border collaboration, data reporting, creative visual approaches, and traditional shoe leather reporting. We are providing them with mentors, connecting them with journalists who have experience in AI reporting. We do trainings every month. And this is a small but strong group of journalists from all over the world, sharing tips and helping each other out whenever they run into challenges. And I am very happy to be sharing this with all of you today because I know that you all are doing very important work, working very hard every day in a very challenging environment. And nobody can claim to know the communities you are serving better than you from anywhere else in the world. And there are only a handful of journalists who are pioneering this area around the world. And I hope to see more journalists from ARIJ and every one of you here to be reporting more on AI. So before I go into the examples, I just wanted to pull up the other image that we have. So yeah, hopefully Saeed will bring it up. But before we jump into the examples, I wanted to reassure you that this is not a difficult, it is challenging, but it's not that difficult. So this is a chart, and I'm not sure if you can read the questions, but this is an AI flow chart, which is drawn by Karen Howe. She's a journalist with Wall Street Journal now, but she is also a Pulitzer Center grantee. Thank you so much for enlarging that. So whenever you run into some system and you're not sure if this is using AI or not, this could be a really good guidance as to provide you with whether this is artificial intelligence or not. Can it see? Can it hear? Or can it reason? These are the questions, and if you can follow the chart, yes or no, and then at the very end, you can, with the help of this chart, you can arrive with the conclusion whether this system is using AI or not. So this could be a very good starting point, and I've talked enough, so I'll stop right here and give my fellow panelists time to talk, but I'm happy to answer any questions later after this panel.
And maybe also we run through some title of your own investigation or your group of investigative Pulitzer AI journalist topics that are most common at the moment you're working on. And without much ado, if I'll give the word to Rabia to run us through innovation in media and how the landscape is changing.
شكرا صباح الخير للجميع وشكرا على حضوركم من بداية.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for being with us and for ARIJ for the organization.
راح أحكي اليوم عن
Today, I'll speak about innovation and journalism, or journalism and innovation in the presentation. The idea of journalism and innovation, it is strongly there. Mostly in Western world, it's less than in the Arab world, but it is coming up in different organizations. The concept of innovation journalism started around the year 2000 after the IT development, and it was directly connected on how this technology is bringing change to the world of journalism. And can we just go to the next slide, please? Yeah, okay, it's here. Thank you. And we can ask, and also started having questions about the future of journalism, considering the development. So there were many questions and studies, and the audience became more interactive. It's not just only recipient as in the past. Now the public is producing, they interact, they comment, they produce content. And these bring challenge to the media organizations and to journalists. Any challenge, in fact, with this development and considering the development of social media. These challenges make the organizations change the way they work. And the IT development, beside the challenge, also it created opportunities for the development of the profession. The importance of innovation is that the organization uses, if the organization does not use it in its work, it will be just a model that is stuck in the past. So innovation is important for the progress and development of the work of the organization and the journalist himself or herself. And basically it's connected to addressing and speaking to the audience and outreaching to them. So journalism is about accessing the public and how the public can be satisfied with the product that the media organization or the journalists produce. The importance of innovation is that there is a tough competition in journalism with the social media, with many changes. So this competition needs, you need to be, to distinguish yourself. Innovation works on income that generation, like in the income challenge that the organization is facing, so it addresses that. Besides, it produces high quality journalism at the final end or final product. So innovation is a way, is a mindset. So as a start, anyone who would like to work in innovative journalism, you need to take a certain problem or case to analyze. Like in our organization, we have an issue, we need to work on that to resolve it or to approach it. So it's more than just making a media or a journalist report or coverage. Today, it covers several other issues related to a design approach, that is how to design the flow of our work within our organization. And it mainly relies on the use of technology. But it is not only technology, there are many other, some people, they say, okay, if we go to TikTok, we are innovative. The parameter here is the audience, how to access the public, how they interact with you, how they are satisfied with your product. So you need to keep focused on the audience while addressing all the challenges around the audience. Now, I'd like to speak about the mindset that I just mentioned. Anyone who'd like to work in innovation, you need to think of this wheel of innovation, starting with the storytelling and reporting, the interaction with the public, or engaging the audience, how to distribute your product, how to use the technology, and to think of people and culture, and whom are we addressing or to whom are we outreaching? This is important. The organization, structure within this organization. And the business, we said that we need to make income and leadership. So the issue of innovation is gaining more importance, so much there are special programs at the universities to do masters where you focus in innovative journalism or innovation journalism, sorry. And they give the students, through the study, they teach them to think in these tracks, to start thinking through their study with this. No, it is not something that is advanced. You need to start with this from the start. There are many organizations are working on this. They give trainings, research organizations, specialized organizations such as the gaming. Also, we see this in mainstream international media. They have labs that specialize in innovation, such as Reuters. They have a specialized program. BBC, they have a lab since 2004. DW, they have a project in this. I'd like to speak about, as for at the Arab level, through my experience with ARIJ last year, with support from FNF, we created an incubator for innovation, innovate to investigate. And through a one-year track, everything was online track and innovation journalism. And I need to conclude, the track was connected with several issues, such as defining what we need. We took trainings and also consultancies on the work to work on investigations that will be published soon. This was a new track for ARIJ, and I believe this will continue next year. And we evaluated the experience. Maybe Rawan will speak about this. Thank you, Rabia. I know we had only 45 minutes for this session, but today morning I discovered that it is only 30 minutes. So it seems that I didn't do my homework.
The session was shorter than expected, but I would like to also pick the brain of Boyoung of how should Arab journalists start looking to find a topic to basically evoke and render accountable those developers or those putting machine learning and algorithm and AI into the service that could harm society, if you can.
Sure, I would love to say that. Actually, could we pull up my slide? I think there is a relevant slide for this question. But while we're putting the presentation up, you can, like one of my colleagues, a journalist that worked with the Pulitzer Center, who did this very impactful reporting on aerial surveillance powered by AI in Baltimore and Florida in the United States. She gave me a tip. And, you know, everyone as journalists here, we all know the rules. The first rule to be a journalist is serve your community and be curious. And there are a lot of ways that you can cut into AI reporting. So on the screen, you can see this is an event we did on February 24th this year. And there's a recording on the Pulitzer Center website. And it's an amazing video, 1 hour talk full of tips on how you can get started with AI reporting. So these are some of the tips that I pulled off from that talk. Be curious and pay attention to the ways in which AI is affecting your lives. So the example that my colleague gave me was she was waiting for the airplane at the airport, and her flight was supposed to leave at 8 p.m. in the evening, but it was suddenly pushed to 2 a.m. and she didn't know why. And she started looking into it, and she found out that airline companies increasingly are using and relying on artificial intelligence to schedule flight schedules. And because she lives in a smaller town rather than a big city, her flight has less passengers, and it's less profitable for the airline companies to have a flight at a popular time. So they pushed it to 2 a.m.
The computer alone is taking those decisions.
Sometimes it works with human beings supervising them, but the AIs, the artificial intelligence, are fed data, and those data, basically, sometimes we call it a black box because we don't know what rules these algorithms are running on, and it could be to maximize the profit of the airline company instead of serving the customers that they're supposed to serve who are paying them. So ask yourself every day in your life, like whenever you're using apps or whenever there's a government. So for example, like 2 years ago, the UAE government was already using an algorithm to help them decide who gets the COVID-19 vaccine first, who should be prioritized. And that is a very critical health issue. And this is why AI reporting isn't just a technology story. It's deeply a human story. It's an equity issue. And that's why we need to understand it better to help our communities make sense of it and understand what's affecting their lives and what's making life-changing events in their lives. So another easy way is, read books, read industry reports. Sometimes these AI companies want to hype their products and they would over-advertise and claim that their tools are this magic bullet that will, make your lives easier. And sometimes it's true, but we need to always question that. And you can find a lot of industry reports and presentations that these companies do to governments in order to sell their tools. So that could be another good starting point.
Thank you, Boyoung. I would say, Rabia, from the perspective of innovation and creativity, how has AI reached the newsroom or the platform of news organization, in your opinion, yet? Or are we still at the incubator level model? Because you can hear
in the Arab world.
In the Arab world, of course, we're going to bring the discussion to our region.
Yeah.
Apart from the clickbait and the data numbers of how many visitors and stuff, are we seeing product being pushed up or product being pushed down?
اوكي راح اجاوب في العربي. زي ما حكيت في البدايه يعني كل موضوع
As I said from the start, the issue of innovation in the Arab world is not really being very present. It is just in the form of workshops and trainings mostly, and it's highly connected to the presentation by my colleague here on the virtual world. It is not so much present, and there are new areas, but there are some organizations that implement them internally. We see some Arab successes in thinking how to present products that address an outreach to the public. There are successes that we see strong presence for them in the social media. Your presence in the social media is not just to be present, but it is about the how to be there and the form of the content and the time of its consumption. Like some organizations, they examine when their product is consumed. Is it during the morning with your morning coffee or what? So you need to produce something with content to be consumed for the public at that time. So maybe the nature of your website is long reads. So you need to develop a newsletter, some that people consume news through newsletters. So this has to do with the nature of your organization. Maybe you are a new organization, news organization. Okay, you have developed a report, an excellent investigative report. Okay, it's not enough for this. You need to have programmers, developers. We spoke about laboratories at different universities that bring many people from different areas. We had this in ARIJ. We were not only journalists, we had experts, we had programmers. So all of this produce cross speciality or interdisciplinary.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. هقاطعك أستاذ ربيع لأنه I was told that our time is up. But if I know I want to give the floor a question or two, but I have to ask permission of the director if I have another 5 minutes or not. لأنه I have a few take-out tips that I would rather also share with you guys when we're talking AI. So up to you. Do you want to intervene, or we're in the democratic, forum here? So can I lead, or anybody is feeling very strongly they want to talk? I can see 3 hands. Can we condense them into half a minute statement? Why? Do you want to go to your mic because you were the first one to raise your hand? It's behind you.
Hello, I am Noura Jirbi, a journalist from Libya. Speaking of, I'm a fact checker too. So speaking of artificial intelligence, we are gonna go on the other hand or the bad side of the AI, which comes in forms of like using it for misleading public, like deep fake, bots, robots, and even data analysis. And we saw that happening in US election and the Brexit. So how we can improve ourselves to deal with these things through the artificial intelligence itself.
Thank you. You want to go quickly? Quick. Prepare yourself. And this is the last one. Run.
صباح الخير، اسمي محمد خبيصة، صحفي اقتصادي فلسطيني. سؤالي لربيع.
My name is Mohammed Khabib, a Palestinian journalist. My question to Rabia. There's a question about the content, how you produce the content, and you presented. You have the editor-in-chief and the director. So you have infographics and interactive. So what do we have for the future?
Can I, Ustaz Rabia, your questions are very good. But let me give you this takeout to think that we all have to employ some of our personal reasoning in an unreasonable world and in an errant new reality that is called AI, managing and controlling everything. And even if AI does not produce artificial general intelligence, a software capable of human-level performance of any task and capable of relating task and concept to other cross-disciplines, the advance of AI will alter humanity concept, and we agree, of reality. However, you've all heard about how the machine has beaten the chess player. You have all heard various examples of how bacteria or viruses have been discovered through computing super artificial intelligence taught machine to discover those in, amazing time scale. However, this society, and I'm talking, in the Arabic-speaking world, is following the larger world, and it has to also shield itself from the damage that could come out of AI. I'm hoping to try to answer both your questions at the same time and close the session before I'm told off. So this society is following the larger world indeed, and it is witnessing the penetration of AI in various spheres. And it is incumbent on journalists and on fact checkers and on people working in business realm or in technological realm, and on journalists and investigators in those realms to make sure it is free of harm in a regulation-free region. We have a regulation-free region still, like the thinly regulated wider world. Even the wider world is very thinly regulated. In the age of AI and giant tech dominance, we have to come to this reality. They lead, we follow, but how we can hold them accountable. I leave you with those takeout, and thank you very much for following this important session. Thanking Boyong Lin from Pulitzer, and thanking Rabia Eid as well.
Shukran.
شكرا.